What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. This is She's Infinity coming to you live. I'm super excited to be back. Super stoked because this is really my passion. I'm just going to talk about my two-time visa rejection to Canada, and I'll tell you where I think I went wrong and also where things were beyond my control to change, So, as you can see, my hair looks a hot mess, my face is a hot mess because life has been happening, but we're about to switch that up now. And so I'm just gonna get ready and take myself on a solo date. Um, I'm just gonna exfoliate my face, and while I'm at it, I will just give you guys all the details as to why my visa was rejected and the details. Like I'll just run you through everything. So without further ado, let's get into it. I started doing the peel off mask already off camera, but yeah, I'm also struggling to talk and exfoliate my face at the same time, but I'll try my hardest. So I don't know if I should do a two-part series because there's actually a lot of information to share, but I guess I will just do the best I can. If this video is too long, then I'll make a second one. So I'll start off with my first visa rejection. So I think I applied in February, and then the visa processing time took 8 weeks to process. So that was like a good 2 months of waiting, not knowing, what the outcome is. But then the first time around, I was very optimistic, like, oh my God. You start counting down the time when you eventually take that one-way ticket to go to another foreign country, and you start doing all the research on what that place has to offer and how best you're going to adapt to the new systems. You educate yourself on so many things while you're waiting, and then it turns out to be a visa rejection for very obscure reasons that you can't even debate, because you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, how do I even dispute this if I'm to reapply? So my visa was rejected on the basis that firstly, they said that they're doubting my motives or my intention for visit, which was study. I was going to do a master's in a foreign country, and they say that they doubt that I will study. I mean, how do you dispute that? Like, it's getting to my eye. How do you dispute that? Like, seriously, how do you dispute that? You're like, no, actually, I am studying. What proof do you attach? Because you've already attached your enrollment letter, the university, you've paid your tuition fees, and then they tell you that we doubt that you actually are going to study. And I've realized that's actually the case with most postgraduate visas, because, okay, I'll just start with my reasons first, then I'll explain each one as we go. So the first reason was purpose of visit. The second one was to do with current employment prospects. So I actually didn't list my current employer for particular reasons, and I guess that bit me in the foot, I guess. But still, even showing or enlisting him would also have been a red flag, because I'll explain that later. And then the third one was that the future employment prospects in your home country. They're saying that there's very limited future prospects, so the chances are that you won't come back to your home country. And then that's also another undisputable one, because what do you say to that, And then the fourth one was to do with they said financial status and assets. So I'll go on back to the top of the list to explain each one of these in terms of what I did wrong, what I could have done differently, and if it's just plain dumb, like a plain dumb reason to reject me because there's no basis, So the first one is particularly baseless, because how can you say someone is not going to study when they have already, paid their tuition, they've shown that they intend to study, and they've also explained to you the reasons why they think that program aligns with exactly what they're going to study, And then the second reason was to do with current employment prospects. I mean, I'm a graduate. People go straight from graduate to university, right? I mean, they go straight from undergrad to postgraduate studies. So there's completely nothing wrong with that. And it's okay for someone not to be employed. But then I guess that was just used as a red flag that, oh, she's not employed, so she might be seeking employment in Canada, you know? That might have been the case. And like I can't have disputed that, you know? And then also, yeah, I was working, but I decided not to list my employer because it wasn't particularly like a formal job in line with what I studied. It's close, okay, it's actually what I studied, but it's not in line with bettering my profession. So putting that in was also going to be detrimental. And when you apply, you're allowed like a gap in your CV, which is okay, it's acceptable. So I would say, as a word of advice, if you're going to apply for postgraduate studies, it seems that the expectation is that you're supposed to have some work experience, though that's not actually the case, but it seems that is the case now. And then the third reason was to do with future employment prospects. So now that is where they really hit, like that's the point that really hit home for me, because they're saying that, you know, you're coming from a high risk country, which is not my fault. I was born there. It wasn't like, you know, it's natural. It wasn't my decision to be born there. But then they're saying because you're coming from a high risk country where we have a lot of people who've sought asylum in their country, they think that I will not return to my home country because there aren't any future employment prospects. I'm sorry, that's just discrimination on all levels. The immigration says that they're an equal opportunity, what. That's BS, because now you're discriminating someone based on where they come from. Yes, it's a high risk area, but then if they can prove themselves that, you know, I will take care of myself, I'm here to study, I'm not here to seek asylum, this will benefit my long-term career in these ways. You've outlined all of that, and you've shown them that you've done research in your reason to study, but they're completely disregarding that just because of where you come from. I'm sorry, but that's very unethical. And then the fourth one was to do with my financial status, as well as what do you call this now? Assets. So the first time around, I applied by myself. I didn't ask an agent to assist me, and I thought that, as based on their website, if you just pay first year tuition, you create a blocked account, wire that money to their account, to your blocked account in Canada, you will, you know, be fine. So we actually paid 1.5 years worth of tuition, because my course was going to be 2 years, 3 months. And I also wired the living expenses. It was $10,000 that was required. I wired it to a blocked account I had created as like an offshore account. So we had all that paperwork to prove that, hey, like our finances are in order. But then they wanted us to attach assets as well, like, and also they wanted to show the source of these funds. Maybe that's what was the concern, but then they actually, like, on the requirements, they don't state that you are supposed to show the source of funds. They just say show the funds. If you show the funds for the first year, you sorted. But then now these are all these implicit details that they put into, what can I say, to eliminate other applicants, you know. So those are my 4 reasons, and just things that I would ask people to look out for is, what can I say, just agents are quite costly and they can be pretty useless. But then the first time around, I should say that an agent would have really helped me put my paperwork in a certain order or format, and also my letter of intention was quite it was so what can I say, very ambitious, very outward looking. It wasn't particularly based on like research, but my, you know, intention, like what's my reason or what's my profound, what can I say, like I was just pouring my heart out, but it shouldn't be like that. So they will also assist you in how to write these letter of intentions. Regardless, nonetheless, their rejection was unfounded because their reasons, as much as they make sense to them, based on what is on their website, it doesn't, because it's been used as a way of, you know, discriminating people. And unfairly as it is, I just have to deal with it. So I guess I'll make a second video about my second rejection. You can go on and watch that next week, because I'll film it now just to pre-record, but whatever. The other thing that I will point out is that things are not what they seem. Things are actually not what they look like. So if you have intel details, intel information from these agents, you are more likely to look out for such, what can I say, hidden details or hidden clauses. Because I'll tell you for a fact, since the start of the year, 75% of African applicants have been rejected because they regard Africa as a high risk, continent taking people. Nigeria, I think, was recorded at 86% rejection, which is very high and unfair because some of these people have actually proved that, they will come to study, but also Nigeria, questionable. But anyway, so with 3 in every 4 applications being rejected, you really see where these guys are seeking to get, migrants from. Africa is not favorable. And unfortunately, for someone who's going to apply now after seeing this, it might be very demotivating. I'll say try your luck, but then just go the extra mile. If they ask for you to prove your living expenses, go beyond that. If they ask you to prove 1 year, show 2 years or 3 years, just so that they don't discredit you on things that you're actually not aware of. But nonetheless, borders are closing across all first world countries. Even Canada, it has this front that, oh, we are welcoming, we're taking many people. But then hear this from a 2-time rejected person who has a very credible profile, which looks good. It doesn't show any form of defiance against the law or anything like that. I was rejected twice when my application was spotless. So as much as it might be so disheartening, just really, really, if you're so set on going, don't just turn all stones, double turn them. So just go beyond the requirements that they need. And finances are the biggest hurdle you have to cross. So despite proving your finances, you should also show assets, which I did in my next application, which you'll see in the next video. So those are the details why my visa was rejected. If you have any questions down below, you can ask them in the comment section, and I'll be sure to respond to any questions that anyone asks. And also in the second video, I will talk about ways to move forward past a rejection, because sometimes people don't see a way out. You're like, oh man, I'm so smashed right now, especially when you were as optimistic as I was the first time around. You might not have the strength to continue. So it might be good to move on to the next video to see why my visa was rejected the second time around, and how I moved, or how I'm moving forward from that. So guys, thank you for watching. I know I'm in the process of metamorphosizing or rechanging myself because I've just been looking like shit, but then I'm sure, I promise, the next videos I will look good. But that's all from me. Thank you guys for watching, and